Tate Taylor walked into Japan's National Stadium in Tokyo as an 18-year-old high school senior who had never competed in a professional international meet before. He stood in the same final, the Olympic every other professional in the race. He finished 0.09 seconds behind, who called the previous night's competition in Shanghai unimpressive. And he did all of it while still technically enrolled in high school in San Antonio, Texas. The final finishing order at the Seiko Golden Grand Prix 100-meter in Tokyo read Tate Taylor second in 10.04, Jake Odie Jordan third in 10.09, Yoshihide Kiryu fourth in 10.15, Shota Aizuka fifth in 10.19, Yuki Koike sixth in 10.21, Yen Ryota Yamagata seventh in 10.24. Taylor beat Kiryu. Kiryu is a Japanese professional sprinter who ran 9.98 in 2017. He beat Iizuka. Iizuka has been one of the most decorated Japanese sprinters of the last decade. He beat Yamagata, a multiple-time Japanese champion and one of the fastest men his country has ever produced. He beat all of them with his second professional international race at 18 years old, in front of a full crowd at Japan's National Stadium. Now let us go back to the beginning. Because the Tokyo result did not come from nowhere, and the path from where Taylor started to where he is now is one of the sharpest development curves in American sprint history. Tate Taylor enrolled at John Marshall Harlan High School in San Antonio, Texas, in the fall of 2022 as a 9th grader. He had started sprinting casually before high school as an 8th grader in summer track programs. He committed to the sport full-time when he arrived at Harlan, opting out of other activities including basketball to focus entirely on sprinting. He was not a prodigy who had been identified at 8 years old. He was a kid who chose the sport at 14 and then decided to be serious about it. As a freshman in 2023, Taylor ran 10.59 seconds in the 100-meter, 10.59. That is a solid high school time. It is not unusual. It is not a number that announces a generational talent to the world. It is a teenager learning how to sprint competitively, working out the mechanics, finding what his body is capable of when the blocks are in front of him and the finish line is 100 meters away. What happened over the next 2 years is the story worth telling. As a sophomore, he improved to 10.28 seconds at the UIL Class 6A State Championships, finishing as runner-up. He also ran 20.66 in the 200-meter at the USATF National Junior Olympics, runner-up at the state championship in his second competitive season. Already among the fastest in Texas, which is already among the fastest states in America for sprint development. The improvement from 10.59 to 10.28 in 1 year is substantial, but even that did not prepare anyone for what came next. In March 2025, at the Nike Indoor National Championships at the Armory in New York City, something happened that caught the sprint world's attention for a very specific reason. Taylor ran 20.46 seconds in the indoor 200-meter to set a new U.S. high school national indoor record, eclipsing the previous mark of 20.63 seconds. That mark was set in 2016 by Noah Lyles. He broke Noah Lyles' high school record at the same venue where Lyles had set it. 9 years after Lyles ran it as a teenager who would go on to become the Olympic 100-meter champion. That detail is worth repeating. The man Taylor finished behind in Tokyo 9 weeks ago holds the indoor 200-meter high school record that Taylor now owns. He beat the record of the man he raced in Japan before he ever stood on an international professional start line. 2 months after the Armory, he went to Austin for the UIL Class 6A State Championships. And here is where everything changed. On May 3rd, 2025, Taylor ran 9.92 seconds in the 100-meter at the UIL State Meet. The time broke Christian Miller's previous U.S. high school national record of 9.93 and made him the world #1 among under-20 athletes. A couple of hours later, he added a 20.14 in the 200-meter. No other high school boy had ever ranked in the all-time top 3 of both events, 9.92, wind legal at a high school state championship, by a junior who had been running seriously for 3 years. He is 6 feet 2 inches tall and 165 pounds. The only athletes to have run faster in the 100-meter as a schoolboy are the handful of international juniors who form a very short list in the global all-time rankings. In the 200-meter, the only athletes to have run faster in prep competition were among the greatest junior sprinters in the sport's history. And then came the decision that set up everything you saw in Tokyo. In January 2026, Taylor signed his national letter of intent with Texas Tech University. And in the same press conference, he dropped a second piece of news that surprised even the people in the room. He confirmed he would not compete in UIL track and field during his senior year. "I can confirm based on my schedule, I am no longer running UIL this year," he said. "I'm going to be doing a lot more professional and collegiate meets. It's bittersweet because I love the UIL circuit, going to state and stuff like that, but based on the circuit where I've elevated to, you got to do what you've got to do." He chose professional international meets over his senior season at Harlan, not because he had turned professional. He has not. He is still an amateur athlete committed to Texas Tech. He chose it because his club coach Kevin Schexnayder had made the calculation that the level of competition Taylor needed was not running in San Antonio against other high schoolers. Schexnayder was direct about who Taylor needed to race. He has to run it back against guys like Noah Lyles and Kung Fu Kenny, the coach said, using the nickname for Olympic 200-meter medalist Kenny Bednarek. Go race the best men in the sport. Test yourself before college start. Find out where the ceiling actually is before you spend 4 years at Texas Tech building toward an Olympics run. Tokyo on May 17th was the first answer to that question. Teen stars Tate Taylor and Jake Odie Jordan ran behind Lyles in what was described as a battle between the Olympic champion and two of the most exciting teenage sprinters in the sport. Odie Jordan is the other name worth noting here. At 18, the British sprinter finished third in 10.09. Two 18-year-olds in the top three of a professional Grand Prix 100-meter final, both of them beating professional sprinters with decades of competitive experience. Both of them running personal best level times at an international venue, but Taylor's story carries a specific weight that Odie Jordan's does not yet carry. Taylor has been the subject of the American sprint conversation for 2 years. He held the U.S. high school national record. He was ranked number 2 in the world among under 20 athletes. He was the 2025 Gatorade National Track and Field Player of the Year. His resume coming into 2026 includes a 9.92 national record, a 20.14 state record in the 200-meter, a 20.46 national indoor record, and the distinction of being the only high school sprinter ever to rank in the all-time American top 3 in both the 100-meter and 200-meter events simultaneously. Every one of those records was set before he ever raced a professional international meet. Tokyo was the first one. And here is the number that matters most when you strip everything else away. His personal is 9.92. He ran 10.04 in Tokyo. That is 0.12 seconds slower than his best time. His best time was run at a high school state championship in Texas, in a race he described after as one where he pulled back in the final meters after realizing the record was already done. He did not run full effort. He ran 10.04 in Tokyo at full professional effort against the Olympic champion and a field of established international sprinters. The gap between those two numbers is the gap between where Taylor is now and where his development ceiling sits. And the sprint world is trying to figure out where that ceiling actually is. Taylor said his upbringing in San Antonio will continue to shape how he represents himself as he moves to higher levels of the sport. He signed with Texas Tech and made clear that his ambition goes beyond the college level. The 2028 Los Angeles Olympics will take place when Taylor is 20 years old, right in the middle of his college career at Texas Tech. The USA track and field trials for those games will happen in the summer of 2028, requiring him to race for a spot on the team against Lyles, Anthony, and every other elite American sprinter who will be at their competitive peak. He is 18. He just ran 10.04 at Japan's National Stadium. He broke the indoor 200-meter record of the Olympic champion before he raced him. He skipped his senior high school season to stand on professional start lines and find out where his body belongs at this level. The answer Tokyo gave him is 9/100ths behind the best sprinter America has right now. For a kid who was running 10.59 as a freshman 3 years ago, 9/100ths behind the Olympic champion is not a gap, it is a target. And if the development curve from 2022 to 2026 has shown anything, it is that Tate Taylor has a way of closing gaps faster than anyone around him expects.